Welcome back to the podcast. This is Layla, and today we are talking about why we have to focus on ourselves and not a community. And what's interesting is that this is actually going to create a very powerful, solid community. Literally, when you start focusing on yourself instead of trying to, save the collective, save other people, that's actually a subconscious wound of, it's basically you trying to save yourself, but you're doing it through other people because other people are a reflection of you. So if other people are doing things that trigger you, or it just creates emotional reactions inside of you, that's because it's actually triggering a part of you that needs your attention, that needs your healing, that needs to become acknowledged by you, because that's what healing is. It's not those like crazy fancy ritual over and over. Like, acknowledging that you have a pattern or a karmic loop is something that's very powerful, and it's very healing because it's the second phase of healing, which is acceptance and shadow work. You're acknowledging the wound. So when we focus on our own personal needs first, like we make sure that our needs are met, then we're able to give from a place of overflow, and that's very solid, that's very powerful, and it's actually coming from a place of love. When people are giving things and they don't have enough for themselves anymore because they've been giving everything they have, or most of it, blah blah, it actually creates a lot of resentment within them. So they're not giving from a place of love, they're giving from a place of ego, they're giving from a place of scarcity, people pleasing, like, oh, I need to give that person that or else they're not gonna love me, whatever. So by focusing on our own personal goals, by focusing on our vision of the future, by focusing on the most leveled up version of ourselves, we're actually able to create a life that feels good, which is the most important. And then we can create freedom within that life. And with that freedom and that time and space and health, we can then create something to help the community, to help the collective. And that's actually the difference between a light worker and a light slave. Because a lot of people who call themselves light workers are still a slave to a corporation. They're still a slave to their paycheck. They're a slave to fear. They're a slave to money. They are slaves to anything that's basically not their life purpose. And then they're tired once they have free time because they've been pretending something. They've been pretending to be someone that they're not. And that's what's really tiring. It makes you really, really tired. Especially if you've been in survival mode for a very long time. Then you might get into the freeze state a lot. So you might doom scroll, or I think there's an expression called bed rotting. So you're basically just in bed not doing anything, or just being on your phone for like the whole day during the weekend. If you're in that state of mind, that frequency, you're not a light worker, you're a light slave. You're a slave to your emotions, you're a slave to the illusion around you, you're a slave to the fear matrix, however you want to call it, So the first step to focus on yourself and to really take back your control and take back your power is to focus on this vision, this higher version of yourself, which you already are, by the way. Like, all these timelines already exist. We just have to tap into them by with our emotions and our mind, by first of all making the decisions that we're doing it, and by acting as if it already happened with the law of assumption. And once you're on the other side and you are your higher self on earth, like you have your dream life, your freedom, then from that space, you can create whatever art, books, social media content, whatever. Like you can create anything. But like I said, it's from a place of overflow, and it's going to be more sustainable, of course, and you're doing it from a place of like being energized by your life purpose. So it's very different from the other way of living, basically. And it's kind of like a paradox, because I know a lot of light workers are like selfless and they're empaths and they're all about, focusing on other people. But it's like when you do that, it's a paradox, because it actually makes you very selfish. It makes you selfish because it gives you like this arrogance of like, well, other people can live from their purpose and, be spiritual teachers, whatever, have a spiritual business, but I can't. Like you're just basically putting yourself on this like pedestal of arrogance. Like, okay, like, all right, then you must be different. You must be cool. You must be special. Like, And so regulating your nervous system is really the key here. Like I always repeat, to make sure that we're actually building and creating from a place of groundedness, that we're really anchored into our body, because we cannot ascend if we're not grounded. So being grounded is like step one. And sometimes it takes a few days. Sometimes it might take a month to fully reprogram your subconscious mind and your body as well, to get your body out of survival mode. But then that's the key here, because then once you're grounded, then you're able to help others. Because, a lot of people forget now, because we've been talking about it a lot in 2020, but we're going through a massive angelic seeding, right? And so there's a lot of star seeds right now on the planet. And a lot of star seeds call themselves light workers or consider themselves light workers, but they're getting out of it slowly. But still, like, there's still a lot of light workers and star seeds that are light slaves, that are still slaves to their emotions, slaves to their 3D circumstances. They have all these excuses about how they cannot do their life purpose, that they're not supported. Like, I'm seeing so many, okay, I have to talk about this. I'm seeing so many women comment on my Instagram posts and say things like, because my values, right? And the values of the Hathor Mystery School, it's all about, the goddess movement, and, really rekindling, like, how do I say that? All the pagan philosophy that was banned actually for a long time by Christianity, like, we're bringing this back up, And so a lot of women write in the comments of my Instagram post that, oh, well, look at men now, like, they don't worship women anymore. And I'm like, where do you live? Like, and I get it. I know it's like the majority of people, but like, first of all, when you make comments like that, you're acknowledging a reality that you're in right now. So for whatever reason, you're in a reality where men do not worship women, which really sucks if you ask me, because there's nothing better as a woman to be worshipped by men. But anyway, let's say you're in this reality, right? And you're acknowledging it, and you're taking the time out of your day, you're taking your energy, and you're casting spells with your words by saying that you are in a reality where men do not worship women, or don't worship you. That's basically what you're saying. Instead of refraining from commenting that, because you don't want to cast spells. Like, why would you want to cast spells on yourself and your reality? First of all, we always say ignore the 3D, especially if it's triggering, but ignore the 3D circumstances. You can just acknowledge it and be like, you know what? My past belief has made me experience a lot of situations with men where they thought they were the prize. They thought they needed my money. They thought, I was being a princess, or they thought we should go 50-50 or whatever. Maybe it's how my parents brought me up. Maybe I was raised by a single mother that was struggling, or maybe I was in a household where, my parents did 50-50 and I saw my mother struggling, whatever it is, you have to acknowledge it and be like, okay, obviously I've been attracting that over and over because it's a subconscious belief that I have, because there are men who worship women across the globe. They're everywhere. I noticed that they're usually in some type of neighborhoods where there's a lot of beautiful houses and luxurious houses. In general, you can also have men that worship women that are, in the ghetto. But the thing is, when a man blesses a woman financially, he increases his income. That's just energetically what happens, because she amplifies it. So it just, unless he's like in transition from like being the ghetto to like a $1 million home, then obviously, he might still be in that old place physically, but he's doing the work. So you also have to ask yourself, okay, why am I not attracting these men that worship women? And then you have to ask yourself, where do I hang out? Because maybe I'm not hanging out at the right places. In some places, like, if a beautiful, intelligent, kind woman walks around a lower income neighborhood in a beautiful like red pink dress and high heels and red lipstick, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think the people are going to see her as art and value her and appreciate her? No. People are going to try to abuse her and exploit her in any way, shape, or form. Which is why you also have to ask yourself, which type of environment am I putting myself in? And why am I accepting behavior from men that don't worship me? Like, that would be an instant turn off. But these men don't even exist in my reality. Like, I can even give examples, because like, even as a kid, like, little boys like used to like love to serve me, like in a kid-friendly way, of course. But like, I don't know, like, for me, like, men who don't worship me do not exist. Like, they're not in my reality. They just don't exist. I'm not sure where they are, but I don't want to find out. They can stay wherever they are. But yeah, please stop casting spells on yourself by making these statements and acknowledging the circumstances that you do not want. And so once again, when you flip back this energy, your energy basically, to yourself, to looking good, feeling good, having goals that you keep to yourself, keeping your emotions and spirituality to yourself as well. And when you bring back all this energy, this is how a woman goes from maiden to goddess. This is how she ascends basically into the goddess that she was born to be. So I'm going to end with that. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you tomorrow for our next episode.